you, it's too light. You think?
Up the hill. Just go up. That's down that side of the valley on the last side. Sorry, what? Sorry, mate. Ah, what's that? Was that yesterday as well?
I thought you would take the piss.
Careful with GoPro. No, I'm just gonna be really loud.
Uè, senti, ma tu stai continuando a camminare o ti sei fermato? Qual è il piano ora? Ok, ma stai pure con i francesi, perché io non ho neanche una foto di Madonna alla mano. Vabbè, Corny non avrà foto perché manco l'ha acchiappata, c'è un sacco di foto di Marin e Silvia, beh, that's it, diciamo. Ok, dai, allora mo faccio una corsa, ma tu, scusa, hai cambiato strada?
Lo coming back again?
Yes, we can do right.
Good square.
Lenguas, very high quantity.
Okay.
West
Should we do that? Yeah, try it. Just come off us until we call them. Huh? I don't think this camera will survive this day. I went past there actually. Yeah, I got a video, but I'm not sure because I'm live. I don't know what it's. How you doing? You seen Greta? Yeah, not a very good idea. Have you got Greta today? What are they saying about that? You see this ground here? They've got that ground. Okay, the left is need to come up with that? Yeah. Where do you think is that broke? Is that broke, by the way? Is it for the bus?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we haven't seen any sign of the future stuff anywhere along there, so for the bus. Unless they join much later, right in the front.
Yeah, probably.
But
If you want to call, you have Hannah's number. What you want to pick up? Call Lucy. Ask Lucy.
Yeah, I did, yeah. I mean, I think it looks like to me it's quite far behind. We're near the front, so. Yeah. Yeah, we're behind the front. Like, where are you roughly?
We're off the gate.
Right, on George Hill. Yeah, so Lucy had gone off to edit. Natalie's gone back out. They're like back in the centre behind us. They're like back, like we were running through the blocks. That's kind of where they are.
I think we should try and get them Friday for future people.
Yeah.
That means we have to wait. Further up there. Just on the difference of the environment. Yeah.
What's that? Okay.
So it's just splinter, that's all the problem.
Yeah.
Sun up, yeah.
Yeah, we've gone beyond George Square, beyond the city chambers, and we're at the cross of Albion Street and George Street, so the same, at the top end of the street where we had dinner. It's hard to say. We just saw some farmers go past who were quite near the front. That's where I think that photo was taken.
Where?
Like,
is it in front or behind us?
Like way behind us, like that's near the start. So she only tweeted that like 10 minutes ago.
Is that what Greta tweeted?
Yeah. Glasgow right now.
10 minutes ago, nice. So, should we wait?
Well, Natalie just said that she's going to try and cut to the front.
She's what?
She's going to try and cut to the front of the protest, so there'll be two cameras there, her and Gary's. So I mean,
wait, yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to be a herd one. Tell Eden what's going to happen.
Yeah, just can I have a word with him?
Yeah.
I think he needs to stay at the park until that group has caught up with us. It gets off us until stay with Gary until recording. Hey, friend, yeah, what's that? So, alright. We're currently connected to live everywhere, and we're doing the dynamic live project. What we're trying to do is we're trying to weigh the group that we think Greta is in.
How about now? Is that better? Yeah, so we are trying to wait for Greta's group, the group that we think she's in, Tazacorte. But they're way back. I think they're about 10 minutes away. You want to switch to Gary and then we'll call you once it gets caught up, because at the moment it's just lingering. So the groups have basically separated. Nothing between us and where they are. Well, that's better. Sorry, I'm just gonna nip through here.
Okay.
Alright. Grab this for me. There you go. Trash, you put it in. Step this for me. Go here.
United will never be defeated!
defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
I think I have too much cable out. I have too much cable out. Are you able to touch it for me? No. Yeah, just back in the hole at the top. Yeah, just push it back in. It records normally by itself.
Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now!
It's not happening, eh? Not yet. I think it's going bad. I think it's going bad.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Yeah. Call them when we're gonna go for a rest and then we'll call them.
I don't know what do you want to do. Yeah, we rest.
Myself, I'm here to say that our future is at stake, and the land, water, and air become saturated with toxins. And I'm here to heed a warning that these plants and infrastructure are increasingly vulnerable as they reach 100 years. With an impending climate crisis and uncertain times, we must fight for our collective struggle from leadership of women of color. My people are the Houma Nation tribe of Louisiana, my relatives from across the world. I want you to know that I stand with you. We see you in your struggle. Your fight is our fight. Your story is our story. My tribe and community is still suffering from the effects of Hurricane Ida. We are the leader in our nation for land loss, for coastal erosion, for hurricanes, for saltwater intrusion, all which has been accelerated by the extraction industries who have come in and dredged our lands and destroyed our coastal land protections. The time for change is now. The time for reparations is now. We choose now. Today I honor the ancestor that is my my grandmother Nancy Mobley on the eve of her born day because she is one of the reasons I can stand here today, Ashe. Who I am is of no consequence, but who we are as the African diaspora will be. We choose now to end the divide and conquer tactics that are used to keep continental Africa and the African diaspora from uniting to address the environmental racism that plagues our countries and communities. Since the beginning of time, we as African peoples have always held the solution to the world's issues, and this climate crisis is no different. We choose now to say that all of our black futures matter. We demand a just transition for all black people across the diaspora. Equitable and direct investment into our countries and communities should be priority because we have contributed the least to the climate crisis but have been the most impacted. So please be expeditious with our loss and damages, please. Lastly, you all are invited on the journey. Put your fists up with me one time. Fist up. We choose now. No. Ndị Igbo si na iwere otu ọkụkọ chọrọ arụsị abụọ ya, ha gbuo mmadụ mezuo ya. Igbo people say when one chicken is offered in sacrifice to two gods, they will kill a human being to complete the offering. We cannot apply shortcuts to climate change, for the consequences will be severe. I am an Igbo woman, a Nigerian American, a black woman, an immigrant at the front line of climate change. We can no longer serve two gods. We must choose capitalism or the pursuit of life with dignity. Capitalism or the pursuit of a life worth living. We must choose now. Our houses are on fire, and we can no longer wait for action. Our so-called world leaders want to tell us how to run to safety. Climate justice is migrant justice. It is the right to leave and the right to stay where you call home. We remember today the Haitian migrants who were abused at the U.S. southern border for fleeing a hurricane, an earthquake, and a political crisis due to many actions by the global north. We choose now to fight for the dignity of all. We choose now to make a choice, because if we do not make a choice now, it is a death sentence. We will not be sacrificed between two gods. Thank you. Please follow us in a chant. The seas are rising and so are we. The seas are rising. 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 That is the chant from the Gulf South of the United States. 5 states coming together to say that indigenous communities and members of the Gulf South will not be removed from the conversation of climate action. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause there for our speakers. Alright, I think we're ready now for our first live music act. Yeah, in a wee minute. Right. Yeah. What you say, yeah, climate justice into it? Oh. I don't know. Climate justice! Climate justice! Climate justice! Climate justice! Sorry guys, 2 seconds. Axé! Laroyexu! O povo negro sofre em toda a diáspora, em todos os países colonizados.
The black people is suffering all over the world abroad and the diaspora.
No Brasil não é diferente.
And Brazil is not different.
O povo negro morre todos os dias.
The black Brazilian people, it dies every single day.
Seja pela violência policial,
For the brutality of the police.
pelo racismo ambiental,
For the ambiental racism.
pela desigualdade social.
For the social difference between the population.
Nós exigimos a titulação dos territórios quilombolas no Brasil.
We want the Brazilian quilombolas lands being legalized. We want the demarcation for the Brazilian quilombolas.
São milhares de comunidades no interior e no campo no Brasil.
There is thousands of quilombolas communities in the cities and also in the outskirts of the cities.
Nós vivemos um grande genocídio do povo negro brasileiro.
We live a large genocide of the black Brazilian people.
O mundo precisa saber que temos um presidente genocida.
The world needs to know we have a genocide president.
O mundo precisa derrubar Bolsonaro.
The world needs to take Bolsonaro out.
Fora Bolsonaro! Fora Bolsonaro! Fora Bolsonaro! Fora Bolsonaro! Fora Bolsonaro! Fora Bolsonaro! Viva o povo negro brasileiro!
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. It's so important that we listen, especially to the people of color, especially to the black people who have barely contributed to the climate crisis yet are experiencing the worst impacts of it. We have to remember that every aspect of the climate crisis is an intersectional one, and that we have to tackle every system of injustice in order to achieve climate justice. And our next performer, if he's ready, is ready. Let's give it up for my co-host, Johnny.
Hello guys, how you doing? A big welcome to the stage for Jam Harvey, Tickle, Becky Wallace, Erin Friel, and Pack. Come on in. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Johnny Cypher. This is a song called This Is It.
That's it.
Oh.
This is it, nice and moment as the knife edge breaks the skin. The waters will get in, you will be taken and your backup plan. We'll keep you safe and will it matter then? We're all together in this.
Alright, they're probably wondering why I called this meeting. For the folks, for the people that give this kind of confidence meaning. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, I'm sure they're all trying the hardest. Just while reach out about managing targets, I thought I'd gather the artists. If we all got a stake in this, MCs are no scared of taking risks. Saying how we really feel, I'm wondering what we say to this. Scotland's green movement needs to consider how it involves any environmental movement without the working classes will move at all. Social ecology, I honestly think that we're missing the trick. By thinking the climate's a hobby for middle class and miserable gets. The same thing causing the inequality, discrimination and stress. It's the same blind pumpkin we see thinking it's ever deeper in its mess. I see no need that is open and we see IPCs in the boat to get these people to both. Need we explode in the place of statistics. You're supposed so keen to me know that it's all saying much too deep, but I go for a peaceful approach and I feel like I've been there before. So, enough is enough.
We gave you quarter. You hacked the forest with poison, bred life for slaughter. We lined your pockets. Human fodder as the borders crack, the earth expands and contracts, and in the midst of that the hierarchy blame the impoverished. I wasn't taught to be thoughtful, advertising for profit. I acquired an awful lot of pointless objects as we all did. A philosophic subordinate of the global order. I come to the table with a lot to learn, a lot to offer. So here's a cautionary story of how not to die. Surround yourself with your possessions as the stars collide. The richest purchase weapons for the inevitable reckoning when the Western population realise that they're next in the firing line. No community left amidst the panic. I predict that this is the moment where we suddenly accept it's happening. Holding on to the agonal gas of society, anarchic agony, starving in the violence of the irony. As the knife edge beats the skin, the waters will get in. You will be taken and your backup plan. We'll keep you safe and will it matter then? we're all together in
We
this.
wish someone had told us, we wish that we had known. Sister Earth could not afford us, so the system took what's owed. The man should admit it, I found that the shit is his alone. But they pick on the sick of the victims while the richest live in dome. So we're far from ready, man, for the Armageddon strong. Yeah, there's hardly any plan, that's why billions gonna die. And we'll all carry the gun, that poor ordinary guy. Culture unfortunately gagged, so billions gonna try to get up, stand up, put your hand up. You carry that too, but I'm fed up getting out by the insurmountable fact that the boss's class is what masses weak, so we can ride the rashes, the clinical rights. Strike at last to fly the bastards, so people side the planet, resist this climate damage. It seems some miss the kind of savage signs of ravage. Retreating eyes cracked when they see the seas arise, and after the least disease, right, baffling past that time we try to battle. If the will come, if the climate will change, feel the heat for the sun, stolen under the rain. No option pain, clear the air in my name, kissing sours are in, I wash it climate. Yeah, we the new mock on, make these walk up, we selling the heat on the hot floor, try to stop over a vegan burger. I need to have a reason to run up, but I'm not, I just want for a wonder. I got the honor, folks, I'm waiting in voice, and I go off on my rapping, I just got pocket. Rap pandas and walkers the pocket. You don't know where you're off to, darling. We don't know where we're to go. I guess in case we're not putting in there for. When we're all just trying to work in this, it's in the desert. Because they need to ignore. We've been here before. Kids show you the door. Wise. No into the sky, not asking us why. We all deny that the science. Yeah, there's plastic cups, plastic kiss, plastic bags, plastic waste, plastic fans, plastic noise, or plastic kill with a plastic face. Roads are better risk as ours, but we are men that time will show you how good the kid be for running. Yeah. I said I'm free and I'm keeping it real. I write these bars down to express the way that I feel. And this day and age, we always try to conceal, but I'm not making it up. You see, this life's just so real, it's hard to do with how fast the self is moving. But we haven't done it by looking after or improving, taking things for granted. If you can't see the reason, you need to wake up from your blinding confusion. I don't think that I'm using. What the fuck are you doing? You need to refrain from using the words that you're using. You need to stop abusing this planet that was blooming. Stop producing the poison and pollution. We should stand up, we need to find the solution. Need to start with straight talking, the new delusion. Begin a revolution to start redistributing the wealth. We need a contribution, we need your help.
This is it, now's the moment as the knife edge breaks the skin. The waters will get in, you will be taken on your backup plan.
We're on top, everyone!
It really matter then. We're all together in this.
The climate's changing, planet rearranging. Where's our haven? Where's our heaven? Been fighting demons since ages 7. Better watch with serpents up in the places we lurking. Earth is giving us birth, but we're only giving a burden. Take it back to Pangaea, back to the future. 2C, 2 2D, cause I could have saw that we knew gear. Yeah, Mother Nature, I'm so sorry for my part. Noise pollution, light pollution, trying to shine up in the dark. Fire in the park, rainforest throwing up in sparks. Dark arts in the flood, they're already building up. So the pandemic just seemed like a slight message. Messing with the Messiah and the maker just might end it. Politicians, yeah, I call them bluff. Yeah, they think they're tough, making up the rules for us, but they don't know when times get tough. Times get rougher in the dough, we find the diamonds in the world of anti-climate. We just go to rise and climate. Put your hands up! Thank you.
Guys, can you
Yeah.
This is it! Again, guys, this is it, and this is really it. This is the leadership that we need. This is the climate leadership that we're seeing, because the leaders aren't inside the UN Climate Summit. They are right here in this park! Let's give it up for the true leaders of the climate movement! And next up, we have one of our leading voices, Reverend Dr. Nedi Estudillo, a Venezuelan ecologian who coordinates the Green Faiths Latinx and Latin America organizing. Let's give it up for Dr. Nedi.
Hola, Glasgow! Hello, beautiful people! I stand before you as part of a faith leader, following the leadership of the beautiful young and older people that have walked through Glasgow yesterday and today, demanding climate justice. It is an honor to follow on your steps. It is also, and I'm clear that it is my responsibility and the responsibility of people of faith to make sure that people of faith also hear the cry of the earth, the cry of the poor, and the cry of future generations. It is my role to make sure that people of faith stop searching for a life in heaven and recognize that we cannot pray with our hands and instead destroy the earth with our feet. Friends, I'm part of a multi-faith delegation that has been here in Glasgow this week. For all of us, the earth is sacred, and all the people are sacred. We are listening. We are coming back to these principles of our faith, and the earth is bringing us all together. And there is hope for the earth, because this is part of the process of reconciliation that the world needs to meet climate justice. Especially among our own faith traditions, in years past, we have tried to convert each other. We have killed each other. We have colonized and oppressed each other, but for the good of a few rich. But this trend is responsible for the destruction of the earth, and this must stop, and we will stop. I'd like to remind our fellow Christians that as our scripture says, that we hear a call and warning to care for God's creation, and with this respect, this goal, the harmonious order in which God created the world, and all the creatures suffer the consequences. In our tradition, we do have a story where all sectors of society have come together to avert collective crisis. This is the story of John and the Pharaoh's dream, and this is our story. As the Pharaoh's dream and the old means of divine revelation, we hear very clearly what the scientists are warning us. Our time is running out. In just a story, people are receptive to the unprecedented revelation, and they organize themselves without delay to lessen the impact on everyone, not just the powers to be. Peasants, religious leaders, government leaders, everyone does their part. It is time to do the same. Each one inspired in the common good needs to do their part to avoid a major crisis. We are here as people of faith saying we are ready to do our part. We are here to remind those in power, it is time for you to do our part. We are not willing to part from our faith in a good God and a good creation. So we call for an end to fossil fuels and deforestation, an end to finance that destroys the climate, universal access to clean energy, green jobs to build back fossil-free, climate reparations from wealthy countries, and respect for indigenous rights. May the blessing of our God, Creator, the Spirit of life, within all of you in this precious moment, may we achieve together climate justice. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now. Amen. May it be so.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Reverend Dr. Mehdi. Guys, it's a great pleasure of mine to be able to introduce the next speaker. So often, when we're talking about climate change, we leave the working class out of that conversation. And today, representing over 500,000 trade unionists in Scotland, it's the absolutely amazing, excuse me, Ros Fire.
Hello, Glasgow Green! I want to start by thanking all of the people around the world who are taking action today to defend our planet and all those who live on it. And I'm here today to bring you a message of solidarity from Scotland's trade unions and the working people of Scotland. The actions that you are taking today are vitally important, because we know the billionaires, the bosses and the politicians who run this planet are not going to make the changes that we need to make our planet sustainable. So we need to build a huge, an angry and a powerful movement for change. And we need to force our governments to tax the rich, to regulate and take our energy systems back into public ownership,
version of our global economy that leaves no community, no group of workers, and no poor countries on the scrap heap. We need to share the wealth and resources of this planet fairly across all of the people around the world. And we are not powerless to make change happen, because we have the ability to build a force big enough to deliver the changes we need. And that force is people power. So let's make today the day that we all join together. The day that trade unionists say to climate campaigners that your fight for a sustainable planet is our fight and we will support you. And the day that climate campaigners say to workers, your fight for fair, sustainable jobs is our fight and we will also support you. Because we are the many, they are the few, and when we join together, the ordinary people who care about giving our planet a sustainable future, the climate activists, the anti-poverty campaigners, the community activists, equality campaigners and the trade unionists and all those who are fighting for a fairer future for our kids, we are more powerful than we can dare to imagine. And those in government will bend to our demands. The fight for climate justice and the fight for social justice must go hand in hand. So let's salute all of the workers who are taking strike action across Scotland to defend jobs and defend decent services. Let's salute the anti-cuts campaigners who've been active here in the city of Glasgow. Let's salute the youth climate strikers of the Fridays for Future movement. And let's salute all those campaigning for a fairer future for this global south. And all of those prepared to take action to highlight the issues and call for real system change to our economies. We all share the same cause, and we are the generation that must hold our governments to account. So right here, right now, across the globe, we will stand together and we will fight together and we will use our people power to secure the future that we all deserve. Thank you. Solidarity.
Thank you, Russell. Are you guys ready to build that movement? Are you angry? I can't hear you. Are you angry? Climate change is crossword. Tax the rich. Climate change is crossword. And next up, we have an amazing speaker from Uganda. Can you guys guess who she is? She's from Fridays for Future, Napa, and from the Rise Up movement. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it a hand for Vanessa Nakata!
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. In 2019, I started a project that involves the installation of solar panels and eco-friendly stoves in schools in Uganda, and we have so far done installations in 13 schools. It has been beautiful seeing these schools finally have light and the excitement of the students and the teachers at the end of the installations. It has always been pure joy, and I'm so thankful to everyone supporting this project. However, last evening I received a message from the head teacher from one of the schools, and it read, "Good evening, Vanessa. Thanks for everything. At Butega Primary School, the heavy storm came and destroyed the roofing of our school. We don't know what next. My heart froze, and then he started to send pictures, and I could see the roofs of the classrooms, the iron sheets destroyed, and around six children standing in front of the classroom without the roof, and the head teacher holding the once installed solar panel. Some of the crops from the school farm were also on the ground. It was so devastating to see. And then the head teacher sent me an audio, and some of the hurtful words and striking words he told me were, "We are here in an outcry, as you can see. Yesterday, we had a very strong storm because of the rain. It came when it was so heavy. It has destroyed everything. It has destroyed our crops, the school roof, and our solar which you provided was also put down. We are trying to fix it, but things are not easy. We were so worried about the panel, but I think it was not destroyed. We shall test it and see if it is still working. But all the wires and the bulbs were destroyed. I need someone to tell me how to explain to the head teacher that the strong winds and the heavy rainfall will not stop because the words and promises of leaders do not match their actions. And this is just one example, just one. Many schools are being destroyed because of extreme weather events. I need someone to tell me how to explain to farmers who are losing their crops and farms because of droughts and floods that seem to never end. And leaders continue to open up new coal power plants, construct oil pipelines, and frack gas without paying attention and listening to the voices crying out for help because of the destruction that is happening. That leaders have failed to understand that we cannot eat coal, we cannot drink oil, and we cannot breathe so-called natural gas. Is there anyone among you who can help me explain to girls dropping out of schools, girls being forced into early marriages, women walking long distances to collect water and find food for their families, that the decisions being made by governments right now are only going to increase the challenges that they are facing? The climate and ecological crisis is not just about weather patterns or data points or net zero targets. It's not about statistics. The climate and ecological crisis is about people, real people like the head teacher of that school, real people like the children, real people like you and me. And it is not taking place at some distant point of time. It is happening right now. Yes, we have to keep global temperatures to 1.5 degrees, but it still won't be safe for communities like mine. 1.2 degrees is already hell for us. It's already destruction, it's already suffering, it's already disaster. Any rise will only make things worse. The science is very clear. The most recent IPCC says that in order to avoid the worst impacts of the climate crisis, we have to end the development of all new fossil fuels. Existing developed reserves exceed the 2-degree budget, and oil and gas reserves alone break the 1.5-degree budget. Even the International Energy Association stated in its recent World Energy Outlook report that we cannot have any new fossil fuel development if we are to have a fighting chance of staying below 1.5 degrees. 9 million people are dying prematurely every year from breathing toxic air from the burning of fossil fuels. More than 90% of the world's children breathe unsafe air every day. So first, we need to keep coal, oil, and so-called natural gas in the ground. I am from Kampala, Uganda, a country that has one of the fastest changing climates in the world. And as I've grown up, I've studied more and more about how the climate crisis was already ravaging vast parts of the African continent, which is tragic and ironic when you think about how Africa is the lowest emitter of CO2 emissions of all continents except for Antarctica. Many Africans are losing their lives while countless more have lost their livelihoods. The droughts and floods have left nothing behind for the people, nothing except for pain, agony, suffering, starvation, and death. And a recent World Bank report warned that we could see up to 86 million people displaced in sub-Saharan Africa alone due to rising sea levels, desertification, declining fresh water, and food scarcity. Over the past few months, there have been deadly heat waves and wildfires in Algeria and devastating flooding in countries like Uganda and Nigeria. And the UN has declared that Madagascar is on the brink of the world's first climate change famine. Tens of thousands of people are already suffering catastrophic levels of hunger and food insecurity after 4 years without rain. The climate and ecological crises are already here. A moment. The climate and ecological crises are already here, but so are citizens from around the globe. Leaders rarely have the courage to lead. It takes citizens, people like you and me, to rise up and demand action. And when we do that in great enough numbers, our leaders will move. Until then, we must demand that our leaders treat the climate crisis like a crisis. We must demand that our leaders stop holding meaningless summits and start taking meaningful action. We are all strong together and united, and we can make this happen. Another world is possible. What we have always wanted is possible. We can do this together. We cannot get discouraged after everything we have done. We remain hopeful because another world is formable. Strength and hope is our way forward, and courage. Even deniers will start to see what we see. Their eyes will be opened and enlightened by our persistence and truth, and they won't deny anymore. They'll join us in this fight and demand for this world that we envision. The leaders will listen because they won't have any other option, because the power of the people always wins. Yes, we are unstoppable, and we are going to heal this land. In fact, we are already healing the land with love, grace, and people power. So we should sing, pray, dance, love, protest, organize, mobilize, shout, because another world is possible. And to leaders, governments, and businesses, they must always remember that we are all connected to Earth. Earth is spiritual. Earth has a life of its own. Earth has an intellect. Earth has an understanding. Earth speaks and it can be spoken to. These are words I learned from my spiritual father, Apostle Grace. And the question to leaders is, if Earth is speaking right now, are you listening to the voice of the Earth? Are you listening to what Earth is saying? Thank you, everyone.
Come on, Glasgow, let's hear it for Vanessa Nakati. It's incredible. People are still coming into the Glasgow Green. We've still got people all the way down Argyle Street, all around the country, thousands and thousands of people. Let me just tell you, organised by the COP26 Coalition, a coalition of grassroots organisations. And I want to give a big cheer to all the volunteers who've helped put this on today. Grassroots organisations from Glasgow and all over. And one of those organisations and a member of the COP26 Coalition that we're really proud is, of course, Migrants Organised for Rights and Empowerment. And there are two comrades I want to introduce, Marvina and somebody who really doesn't need much introduction, Yvonne. Stalwarts of migrants organising here in Glasgow, the global south and the global north. Yvonne. So before I get everyone on here, I want to get you warmed up and I need you to rev it up when I speak here. Call a response, are we ready? Decolonize! 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 We don't want your blood money! We don't want your blood money! Wanna change the world, honey! Wanna change the world, honey! We don't want your blood money! We don't want your blood money! Wanna change the world, honey! Wanna change the world, honey! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! When I say migrants, you say matter! Migrants! Matter! Migrants! Matter! When I say migrants, you say matter! Migrants! Matter! Migrants! Matter! This is the energy we need. Give some love to Yvonne!
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here. The energy is amazing. My name is Yvonne Blake. I'm the co-founder of Migrants Organising for Rights and Empowerment. We're a migrant-led grassroots organisation in Glasgow, and we campaign for asylum-seeking people's access to employment, education, decent housing, and dignity. We should not have to do that, but because of a hostile environment policy, because of a racist immigration system, because of systemic racism, we have to be campaigning so that people can have access to basic needs. People can have access to food. People can have access to clothing. People are fleeing war-torn countries, war that has been imposed upon countries from the global north. We are here not because we're here by choice. We came here, our blood, sweat and tears build this Glasgow. My ancestors were taken on the River Clyde, taken. We were sold in slavery. We build this country. This country belongs to us, and we will not hide. We will be visible, and we will speak, and you will listen. It is impossible. It is impossible. It is criminal. It is... I can't even find the word to describe it. To speak about climate justice unless you speak about migrant justice, unless you speak about racial justice. There cannot be no climate justice without migrant justice. There cannot be no climate justice without racial justice. The people who create the climate crisis, the racist climate crisis, they are the ones who are sitting in the COP26 negotiations. They are the ones who are expected to bring the change. We do not rely on them to bring the change. It is us who bring the change. The people, we are the change. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. We will never be defeated. We are the change. Look at us. Look at me. I am the change. We are the change. We bring the change here. And we ask every single person here, when you go to places and you hear people speaking about indigenous lives matter, black lives matter, if you don't see someone who looks like me, it is not about black lives matter. It is not about indigenous life matter. What that is doing, that is just replicating the very same structures that get us here. We need to not only wave signs and say black lives matter. We need to express this in our everyday lives. So when we go to places and we hear people talking, we need to extricate ourselves from those places and allow spaces from the global south, voices from the global south, people from the global south to speak. We need to ensure that our social, we need to ensure that we put our finances where our mouth is. We need to ensure that we put our social capital where our mouth is, so that people from the global south, we have the change, so that we can come forward and present the change. Thank you so much. Our people united can never be
Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear. Thank you. So when I say Black lives, you say matter. Black lives. Black lives. When I say Black lives, you say matter. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Thank you for that powerful speech, and let's show those world leaders that rain or shine, we will fight for climate justice! Next up, we have an amazing speaker, some of the activists from the front lines of the climate crisis. We have Jetmel Kitchener from the Pacific Climate Warriors, all the way from the Pacific. It's cold. Yele Komalib! Yele! Well, hello, everybody. I traveled all the way out from my home, the Marshall Islands, so that I can be here with you all today to join the call for climate justice and climate action. And I'm grateful and humbled to be given this platform to speak. The Marshall Islands is located in the northern Pacific Ocean. We are an atoll nation, only 2 meters above sea level, with no mountains like some of the bigger islands, no mountains or higher ground to go to. Some people here will tell you that our very existence is at stake, and up to this COP, I would have said the same thing. With the rising sea level, even half a meter of sea level rise will result in water flooding our islands, and our islands will become unlivable in 20 years. We would just need 2-story walls around our entire islands just to keep the water out. So the physical existence of our islands is what's at stake. That's why I flew all the way here, over multiple planes for over 18 hours. That's why I flew for the first time in 2 years since the pandemic began. I haven't left my islands for 2 years since our borders closed during the start of COVID, but I knew the only reason I'd leave is to make sure our message gets here. Thank you. Jesus. And my message is this. We as a people are not going anywhere. We survived 3 eras of colonialism. We survived over 60 nuclear weapons detonated in our islands during the U.S. nuclear weapons testing program. And let me tell you, we will survive climate change. We refuse to leave. We refuse to go anywhere, and our sovereignty is not up for debate. But we do need collective action. We need the biggest emitters to be held accountable. We need financing to implement the solutions we're developing ourselves. We contribute 0.00005% of the world's global emissions. We did nothing to contribute to this crisis, and we should not have to pay the consequences. Thank you. Yes, nothing. We're looking at extreme solutions to be able to remain in our islands, reclaiming land, elevating our land, and the preliminary cost will be tens of billions of dollars. And we can only adapt so far before there's irreversible loss and damage. And we need separate streams of financing for all of that. We need to keep pressure that COP26 doesn't allow offsets or endanger human rights or the rights of indigenous people. So to close, I'd like to say something about faith. Faith in change. Faith in our youth. Faith in the elders who laid the groundwork, the indigenous, global south, the Pacific and Caribbean islanders who are in there right now holding the line. Faith in this movement, in you all, in collective action. There's a Marshallese legend about a whale that was once taunting a tiny bird, deeming itself dominant, more powerful. That tiny bird gathered a storm of birds, thousands fluttering across the sky, each one gulping down every drop of ocean, leaving the whale stranded, beached, forcing the whale to admit that yes, smallness is a state of mind. Yes, the ocean begins with a single drop, and so too does our faith. Thank you. Should I do we are not drowning? When I say we are not drowning, we are fighting. We are not drowning. We are not drowning. We are not drowning. Thank you.
applause for the Pacific Climate Warriors. Guys, we've all been in isolation for the last few years. It's so nice to see so many people here for a fantastic cause. Big up yourselves for standing out in this beautiful Glasgow weather. Round of applause for yourselves. Guys, hip-hop has always been about social change, and our next performer is one of the best ambassadors of that kind of message. A big welcome, please, for Bristol-born rapper, Disraeli. How are we doing, lovelies? How are you feeling out there in the gorgeous weather? Man, there's so much to be freaking angry about right now, isn't there? Make some noise if you're angry. Friends of the Earth released a report last week to say it's not just Cambo that's in the pipeline, the picture for new fossil fuel projects that are in the pipeline. There are 40 new fossil fuel projects in the pipeline in the UK alone. There is plenty to be angry about, but I think that what actually brought us here today, more than anything else, is love. It's the people that we love. I know what brought me here today is my two sons. I've got twin sons, they're 11 months old. They're called Idris and Paco, and they're the reason I'm standing on this stage today. So let's just all reconnect with that for just a second. On the count of 3, I want you all to shout out the name of someone that you're here for today. Someone that you love, that you're here for, their future, their present. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to ask you to do a little bit more audience participation as well. This one's really simple. It goes, rise, keep the moon ship rising, must rise. Something has died in your eyes, so come on, rise. Kiddies and creatures of light, the sunrise is fucking godly wonder. These are your times. I say rise, you say rise. Right, right, right. With all your heart and energy, as if it could warm you from the inside. Right, keep the moon ship rising, must rise. Something has died in your eyes, so come on, right. Kiddies and creatures of light, the sunrise is fucking godly wonder. These are your times. Let's run the beats. Can you hear me back there? Hey, there we go. Get loose, get loose. Bouncing is the best cure for rain. Straight like the brothers down the April Mountain Dogs. It's a short existence, man, think a minute on it. Some of us sweating, others of the chasing wicked profits. Some are of recession, but occasion shitty frustums. Chasing what a paper, drop related with these problems. Overtaking little losses, constant living godless. Some of us rotting civil office, shaking little boxes. Others of us little art, they're gonna come to sip and fuck the goblins. They kick little goblins for the things that happen. It's clean, I want it. I'm feeling big today. Let's play our fate across the city for the kids to clock it. It's not a product, it's a little bit of something honest. It's not a product, it's a little bit of something honest. And that is better than you ever would believe, barber sheep up. So for me, make these shepherds and this teeth up. I'm sick of sheep dip. Please listen these kids. There's so much deep shit from drown if you don't perceive it. They get me close to Jesus. That's the power of the statement. The one power that's ours for the taking. But like 1,000 ounces of uranium, the same within the boundaries of the cranium. Spraying for the mountains off the stadium. Take it in the blaze of 50 kilowatt lasers. Put it in the cosmos with a cross tape. We got the rest of what kind of the roof. Give me at it, so points of mathematics and computer podcasts. Lights are all compounds. We like forwards of a left to fight boards of one now. Fuck it. Let's push it to the outskirts of possible galacticality. Everybody move your molecules right. Keep the moon ship rising, come on, right. Something that's died in your eyes, and come on, right. Kiddies and creatures of light, the sunrise is fucking godly wonder. These are your times, so right. Keep the moon ship rising, come on, right. Come on, right. Kiddies and creatures of light, the sunrise is fucking godly wonder. These are your times, so right. Lifting off the surface of planet Earth, sliding up the earth. It's too much, too much. Too much. And I wish you tell me that I have a hunch you won't.
stuff to get to. You get to bloody nose. Just for one second, get the sun go. And you can shoot it fast, with a running quick. You can swagger with the manner, singing what's the so wicked. We can mash up bladder, flaccid as a punch, you know. And you probably quote the shivers like a swan below. Singing where's the money, mama, where the money goes. I'm on a hill up with a gullet full of water roads. Trying to conjure something dope from a country folk. Yeah, they fuck the front page, check the front road. Check the substances, which they can't go play. Nothing injustice, none another note. Sunday summer street, the streets and all your underclothes. Stuck your stomach, speak your piece before the summer goes. Speak your secret briefs and psychedelic color codes. The lights that are lying in your underworld. They will keep you flying long after the clubs are closed. Cause you were giant similar to what a solid road. Treat like a sledgehammer with your fucking bones, right? Keep the bullshit rising, come on, right? Get these pieces of light, come on, right? Get these pieces of light, the sunrise is fucking got you underneath. Right, come on, right? Keep the bullshit rising, come on, right? Get these pieces of light, come on, right? Something is dying in your eyes, the sunrise is got you underneath your toes, come on. We are getting off our knees now. We are getting off our knees. It's too much, it's too much more. Getting off our knees now, right? Get easy breezes tonight, the sunlight, the fucking got you underneath your eyes. Come on, right? Keep the moon shit rising, come on, right? Get easy creatures of light, come on, right? Something has died in your eyes. The sunrise is fucking godly wonder. These are your times. So come on, right?
Are y'all ready to ride? We have to remember that the fight for climate justice has to be anti-colonialist, anti-imperialist, and anti-fascist. And so our next performer is someone who's coming all the way from Chile, Arateju.
Hello, thank you so much, and I'm deeply grateful to be here today on the stage and sharing with people from everywhere. I've seen so many flags that make so many sense, like I see the Palestinian flag, and to understand that for us in Latin America, like, we want Palestine free because your fight is our fight, because we understand that this battle is an international battle. And to understand that this amazing committee that invited me today, that is La Minga, that came from all America, from Alaska to Patagonia, people all over America, and people from Ecuador, Chile, Bolivia, Argentina, and represent the indigenous people that are learning and teaching to us what is about humanity and life. We are here for love and life. That is the goal. And to understand that we got one enemy. We can have so many differences between all of us, but we got one enemy, that is death. And this program is against death and for life. So thank you so much to invite me and to be part, to learn. And we got to learn to be, like, to listen to each other. This is about commitment, we say, la puta madre. This is about, like, to listen to us and to have another way to make a world, another world without racism, without colonialism, and antifascistas siempre. And because without that we can have that fight. So that song that I will perform, and then I will give this mic to other people to share the stage with other friends and colleagues, hermano y hermana, is about that. This song is called Antifa, Antifascism. So you can put the try, baby. Somos los patis pelados, los kumas, los cholos que más. Somos los cholos, los flights, los caras de nana, ¿verdad? Somos los cholos, los flights, los caras de nana, los caras de nana. Pa' mí que te quedas siempre que derecha me dan a sospecha que tú te aprovechas, tú nada cosecha, ni prende la vela, ni ahí porque espera no te vendo vela. Hago que escuche la lucha del cafeinado. Tremenda chucha, que no puso para hacer la lucha, no se me confunda. Buena capucha, un cacay, ¿cómo estás? No necesito estar high, este sistema se cae, si tú no compras. Un cacay, ¿cómo estás? No necesito estar high, este sistema se cae, si tú no compras. ¡Loco, make some noise! Latinoamérica!
todo un amigo de nadie, cántalo suave, dice de clases, cómo se hace la llave y entonces todo eso se cae, todo se sabe, todo se y acá y Chile combate a liberar este mundo completo. Si tocan a uno, tocan al pueblo, internacionalista, anticolonialista, contra dominación, antifascista, internacionalista, anticolonialista, contra dominación, antifascista, empatay, ¿cómo estás? No necesito estar cae, este sistema se cae, si tú no compras, empatay, ¿cómo estás? No necesito estar cae, este sistema se cae, si tú no compras, peligro! ¡Fuera, Piñera! So much. Thank you. Gracias. And freedom to Palestina en Guelmapo libre. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do not know how to follow up from that amazing performance. Are you guys all hyped up for that? And one of our next speakers does not need any introduction at all. They're coming up. Are you guys ready? Let's hear some noise! No need for any introductions. Let's listen to the defenders of the earth, our indigenous peoples themselves, the true environmental defenders. Somos povos indígenas do mundo inteiro. Somos mulheres indígenas. Somos resistência.
We are indigenous peoples from across the world. We're indigenous women and we are resistance.
Nós, povos indígenas, povos originários, somos as maiores autoridades do planeta.
Indigenous peoples are the biggest authorities in this world.
Nossos territórios detêm 82% da biodiversidade que existe viva no mundo e que segura a vida de todos vocês.
Our territories hold over 82% of the biodiversity on this planet, and that holds life for all of us.
Nós estamos aqui para dizer que estamos cansados de acordos. Queremos que acordem para o papel que nós, povos indígenas, contribuímos para toda a humanidade.
And we're tired of hearing about agreements that are only on paper. What we want is for the world to awaken to understand the role that we play in protecting the planet.
Nós não temos mais muito tempo. As árvores falam, a água fala, os pássaros falam e a terra está gritando, a terra está pedindo socorro, mas os governos não estão escutando.
We don't have any more time. The trees are speaking, the rivers are speaking, the birds are speaking, the earth is speaking, and it's crying out, we do not have more time.
Nós, povos indígenas do mundo inteiro, nós somos os porta-vozes da Mãe Terra.
We indigenous peoples of this world, we are the spokespeople of Mother Earth.
não temos mais muito tempo. A emergência climática já é uma realidade. Nosso povo está morrendo. Nosso povo está sendo queimado. Está sendo queimado pelos governos. No Brasil, Bolsonaro está legitimando o genocídio. Estamos aqui lutando contra a mineração nos nossos territórios, contra o garimpo ilegal, contra a contaminação de nossas águas, contra o desmatamento de nossas florestas.
We are here fighting against mining on our lands, fighting against illegal mining on our lands that's ruining our waters and our lands. We're fighting against deforestation and we're fighting against the destruction of our territories.
O nosso corpo dói e o nosso espírito chora quando vê as crianças e Yanomamis morrendo contaminada pelo mercúrio da mineração.
Our bodies are in pain and our souls are crying when we see young Yanomami children being sucked up and killed by illegal miners.
Não acreditamos nas falsas soluções. Dinheiro não vai resolver a destruição do planeta. Nós queremos que nossos povos, que nossos territórios sejam escutados.
And we want to find solutions. We are the solution, and we want to have that understood that we are the solution, and we don't want any more pollution of our lands.
É hora da mudança. É hora da retomada. A retomada do afeto e da solidariedade no mundo inteiro.
And this is the time that we have to reoccupy, we have to retake the world, and we have to retake and rebuild solidarity across the world.
E por isso convidamos todo com um chamado global para o reflorestar mentes.
And this is why we're calling on the whole world to reforest our minds.
É hora de reflorestar os nossos corações, o nosso pensamento e também as nossas ações.
This is the time that we have to reforest our minds, reforest our thoughts, and reforest our hearts. It's time for action.
Os governos, os líderes governamentais precisam mudar de atitude urgente e a sociedade precisa mudar sua forma de consumo.
Governments need to change radically now, and consumption patterns also need to change.
Somente a conscientização dos humanos vai curar a Mãe Terra.
Only by building our consciousness are we going to cure Mother Earth.
A hora de agir é agora. Não temos planeta B.
The time to act is now. We have no planet B.
A luta pela Mãe Terra é a mãe de todas as lutas. A luta pela Mãe Terra é a mãe de todas as lutas. A luta pela Mãe Terra é a mãe de todas as lutas. Fora Bolsonaro! Demarcação! 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 Já!
Thank you so much to our indigenous defenders.
Ontem fez 6 anos de crime da companhia Vale de Mineração Samarc BHP, que matou o meu rio Atu de Minas Gerais. O meu rio está morto. por causa da mineração que matou meu rio. E agora nós vamos fazer um ritual sagrado com a força e a voz de todas as mulheres indígenas aqui presentes, porque ninguém está na luta sozinho. Todas nós somos unidos. Ereré? E o nosso rio Atu pode estar morto, mas dentro da gente, as águas que correm estão vivas. Eu honro vocês. Ereré? Oh, Atu! Oh, Atu! Minha aré, minha aré. Oh, Atu! Oh, Atu! Minha aré, minha aré. Oh, Atu! Oh, Atu! Minha aré. Justice activist, director of War on One, and one of the founders of the COP26 Coalition, Hassan Rahman. Let's give it up!
Thank you, sisters, brothers, and thank you to everybody in the COP26 Coalition. It's been an absolutely amazing effort today. I just wanted to say, and to all of our amazing speakers, when we set up the COP26 Coalition, we said we would platform the voices of the Global South and we would bring their demands, and today you've heard all of our movements, sisters and brothers from around the Global South. Friends, today, not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of people have taken to the streets. We've organised 306 mobilisations from South Korea to Uganda, from Brazil to Philippines, and in every town and city in this country. At least 500,000 people taken to the streets in this country. Black, brown and indigenous, young and old, workers and frontline communities. Not just marching, but building. And we are building a movement here for climate justice. A movement so powerful and so diverse. A movement that is going to refuse to say and turn its back to those already dying from these crises. Those already losing their homes and their livelihoods. Not next year, not in decades to come, but already now and today. This movement is not going to accept that we are going to allow the peoples of the Global South to be sacrificed for profit. We're not going to allow them to create a wall of walls and fences where the rich seek safety and they leave the poor to burn. Friends, this movement is all of you, it's all of us, and we in every corner of the world are saying with one loud voice, the era of injustice is over. And inside that conference of polluters, where the climate criminals are sitting in their negotiating rooms, hiding behind barbed wire and fences and lines of police, blocking us out of the negotiations as their big business friends cook up the books. We're not going to accept their suicide pact for people and the planet. They can pretend to act. They can pretend to act. They can make all the hollow promises they can make. But we know they want to dig and burn their way out of this crisis, to pour more oil onto the fuels of injustice. And it's incredible. When you're inside that negotiation, you hear it time and time again. that from the richest countries in the world who've caused this climate crisis, our coffers are empty. We can't even meet the paltry 100 billion in climate finance when they're giving trillions out to the banks and to the fossil fuel industries. Well, I have a solution. I have a solution. Tax the rich. Tax the corporations. And friends, I'm so proud that we're all standing here in Glasgow, because the story of Glasgow is not the story of the climate negotiations or the story of the conference of the polluters. It's the story of us, the conference of people. And I want to pay tribute to the people of Glasgow and Scotland, because those of us who live in this country know in the moments of darkness you have time and time again have given us hope. From the crofters fighting for land rights, just as today Indian farmers fight against corporate giants, to the Glasgow rent strikes fighting for the right to housing, just as our shack dweller movements in South Africa fight for the right to housing. From Red Clydeside to the can't pay, won't pay movement against the poll tax, to the GMB workers on strike at this moment. And who in this country, whose heart couldn't have been filled with pride when the people of Glasgow took to the streets and said, we will not allow our neighbours to be deported? Whilst our government was sending warships into the seas to push back those who are fleeing injustice and letting them drown in the sea. Friends, some people say this system is broken. It was never broken. It was rigged. It was created to make this way, to make the rich richer and leave billions to go hungry. Food banks in the global north and famine in the global south. So what we've got to do, comrades, sisters and brothers, is that we have to remember there's nobody coming to save us. We are the ones that are needed. We are the ones that are going to create this world. We are the ones that are going to tear down this rotten system and tear down its walls. And we're going to build a new world, one of love and solidarity, where no one goes hungry, where no one is locked into poverty, where we fight for the rights of everybody, where we fight for the right for an NHS in this country and a global NHS everywhere, where we fight for workers' rights in this country and workers' rights all around the world. A world where absolutely everybody can live in dignity and with harmony. But friends, that world can't be built on the back of exploiting others. Where they see profit, we have to see solidarity. Where they seek power for themselves, we seek power for our people. So I'm not going to tell you about all the injustices. You've heard all of them from all of our speakers. But I'm going to say that what our call is not just to cut carbon, it's to cut injustice. And that what we're not demanding here is not charity, is not even debt. It is reparations for the crimes that have been committed against the people of the global south. And we know what needs to be done. We need to limit temperatures to below 1.5. That means rich countries have got to have real zero targets by 2030. We need climate finance on the table. We need rich countries to accept liability for the damage that they've caused to the global south. And friends, we need to go beyond that. We need to go beyond that. We need to call for a radical global Green New Deal, a just transition and a justice transition. We need to transform this world. So friends, as we end tonight and you go home, and I hope you all go home safely, remember, today was not the end. Today was the beginning of a new climate justice movement in this country. And a movement that makes a promise today that it will stand in solidarity with our friends and sisters and brothers in the global south. We will act in solidarity, and we will take on our own government, our banks and corporations. Those are responsible for fueling this crisis. So friends, thank you ever so much, and to everybody in the COP26 coalition. And I just want to end by saying a couple of words about the coalition. The coalition brought together environmental justice groups, trade unions, faith organisations, Black Lives Matter movements, climate strikers, you name it, and we weave together a new movement, a new climate justice movement. And that it was an incredible endeavour, especially in the midst of this pandemic, where we've seen what the rich want to do, hoard their vaccines while millions are dying all around the world. And it's been an incredible effort. It's been an incredible effort. But behind every movement, there is always a handful of people who have dedicated every waking minute for the last 2 years on building this coalition. And some of them are here in their volunteer bibs. Juan, Camille, Tess, Mib, there are so many, Julia, there's so many, and they need an immense round of applause for the work that they have done. But remember, this is not the end. This is not the end, because from tomorrow we start our People Summit. So once they cut the books, we will be meeting, building our alternatives, building our movement. So please go to the People's Movement People Summit from tomorrow. Go to the movement assemblies. And if you want to hear more, we know many of our people weren't able to attend Glasgow. So tonight from 7:30 we have a digital rally with the likes of Naomi Klein, with the likes of Lily Knackville, our movement leaders from the global south who are locked out of these climate negotiations. They'll be online. Please join them. And now, thank you, and thank you to everybody and all the amazing staff, because as I pointed out at the beginning, this morning we had an amazing stage. Within an hour, because of the weather, we had to take down this stage and rebuild a new stage. It was an incredible amount of effort by a small number of people, and so thank you to all the COP26 volunteers, but most of all, thank you to all of you. You are the hope, and as Rebecca Solnit says, hope is not a lottery ticket that we're sitting on the sofa with. Hope is the axe with which we break through the door. So let's be the axe. Let's be the hope. Thank you. And friends, we really need you to start leaving, because we're told our friends, the police, are telling us we have to clear this march and clear the park, and we'd like to do it safely and orderly. So friends, please start making your way out. I hope you have a safe and an amazing evening tonight and get home safely. And thank you to everybody who's travelled from all over Scotland and from every part of Glasgow and from around the country. This struggle continues.